for a new truck for your business? Look no farther. Come on down to AJ Doman Chevrolet, where we got $12,000 off every remaining 23 medium duty in stock. And more trucks arriving daily. It's all happening at AJ Doman Chevrolet, where we say yes when others say no. AJ Doman Chevrolet, your business elite dealer at the foot of the Morgan City Bridge in Berwick.
Hello and welcome back to this edition of Bayou Time. I'm your host, Keith Whiteside, licensed clinical social worker with Terrebonne Home Care. Very glad you're joining us. However you may be joining us, we appreciate it. You know, we got the opportunity to really participate, really get information. If you want to know what's going on in your district, you can find that out. Very glad to have with us State Representative Beryl Amedee. Thanks for joining us.
Hi, Keith. Always a pleasure to come back.
We appreciate it. Let's talk a little bit about the purpose and the reason kind of having these town meetings.
Well, I like to hold town halls after we finish our sessions for the year. That way I can report to the people directly what we've accomplished, the condition of the budget, what's coming up next maybe, and then I can also spend time hearing directly from them. I mean, many people call the office and email all the time, right, but it's just much more fun to sit face to face and have a chat.
Yeah, and quite frankly, being present is one of those things. I love the fact that you're out there and doing 6 of these, so all over your district. Right?
Right. I planned them that way because I didn't want anybody to have to drive very far. Okay. And also, when you have smaller groups, you can really hone in on what the issues are in that local community. Sometimes communities have different needs, and if someone's at one of the town halls and we're discussing a need of a different community, they might be sitting there waiting like, are you ever going to get to me? Right. Right. But this way, with 6 different town halls, we can go into almost every community. Try and make it so that there's one near you wherever you are. Well,
we're certainly having 6 of them, and 4 of them have been completed. And so the first one was down in Labatteville at the fire department there on August 12th, and then one in Schriever on Tuesday, August 13th at the Schriever Fire Department. And then you had one on in Morgan City and Amelia at the Emergency Operations Center there on the 19th, and then the one in Gibson-Donner at the West Terrebonne Fire Department, August 20th. Is there anything specific maybe that came out of some of those that kind of let you know some of the concerns of the constituents?
Yes, there were people who were interested in some of the bills that we had passed, especially those that had made headlines. And I think that they were happy to be able to discuss and learn more about them, because sometimes what you pick up just, I don't know, maybe on social media is not really what the bill does. Yeah. But the main thing that I'm finding, the main theme that I'm finding right now in these town halls is people are really concerned about mostly the conditions of our roads. And what I'm talking about right now is 'tis the season for tall grass. So we've just finished I hope we're finished the triple-digit weather that made roads buckle here and there. And I'm getting less calls about road buckling, but I'm still getting calls about tall grass and tree limbs hanging over the roads. And so what we've done is when people come in to the town hall, I have a little sign-in sheet so I'll know how to reach out to the people directly that came. And I've also been putting a separate sheet next to it specifically for road and bridge complaints, basically the pothole list. That way, if there's some issue on the roadway that hasn't been turned into the office, I'll be collecting those in person, and then I can report those to DOTD in the various districts. And so it got to the point where at the Morgan City Town Hall, the DOTD representatives that cover St. Mary Parish came to the meeting and answered questions directly. Wow. And it was great. We spent probably at least 30 minutes just on road conditions and road projects. They gave updates.
Oh, wow. That's wonderful. And again, it's nice to have somebody, when they ask a question, to have somebody who's actually working on the project or doing that, not just telling them about it, but telling them exactly what they're doing, how and when.
Yes. So what I'm doing now is for the remaining town halls, I'm inviting the DOTD representatives that cover those areas to come to the meeting if they're available. And if they're not available, I'm at least asking them to give me the latest updates on what they're currently working on. And I'm reviewing whatever the complaints are that have been turned into my office to see if they have already been taken care of or to make sure they're at least on the list. Right. So it's really handy to have an opportunity to put the actual people from DOTD in front of the general public, because then we can really communicate. Right. And so DOTD has heard directly from the people, and the people have been able to ask DOTD and communicate directly with them about their complaints or their compliments.
Well, and again, what you're doing with them and having DOTD there is just as valuable of you being present in front of them. They can come and send an email or drop off or make a phone call to your office, but being in front of you and having that conversation really makes them feel valued. And so it's a really good thing to be able to do.
Well, I think it helps you to understand that, yes, you have been heard.
Right.
Yeah.
I like it very, very much. Now, you have 2 more scheduled.
Yes.
Right? Let's talk about those and when they'll be.
Sure. The 2 remaining town halls for this season are going to be next week. I have Tuesday, August 27th. I'll be in Bayou at the Recreation Center there. And on Thursday, August 29th, I'll be at the Coteau Fire Station. So if anyone has missed the other town halls, they're welcome to come and visit one of those. But most of all, the people who live in those areas, in those communities, I really want to encourage them to come on out and visit.
Very nice. And again, learning a lot from them. I will tell you, it was very interesting to me because of my path from home to work, had one of the worst buckled areas on Tunnel Boulevard. And so I will tell you, I was incredibly impressed with how quickly that was done. And so very often there's a delay in trying to get things done, but I was very, very impressed with the patchwork that was done there. So kudos to the work being done there.
And it's not directly in my district, but I'm aware of it. And I think that one was handled specifically under emergency orders because normally when certain projects are needed, there's a whole process. Government moves slowly, and it has to because it's all done by taxpayer dollars.
Right.
And so accountability requires things like putting something up for bid and advertising and all that. And sometimes when you have an emergency situation, you can move much more quickly.
Right. Well, we're always thankful and appreciative for you being able to come on and talk about this. Very happy about the 4 that have taken place already. We've got 2 more of the town halls that are being presented. Tuesday, October 27th at Bayou Recreation Center, the small building, and then one in Coteau on Thursday, August 29th. And so we've got a whole lot more to talk about. Kind of want to talk about some of the projects that we know that are coming up. So we appreciate your time. We're going to take a short break if that's okay.
That's fine.
All right, Beryl's going to join us. You stick around and do that. We'll be right back on this edition of Bayou Time.
Today's social media segment is brought to you by Terrebonne General Health System. Your health is our legacy. Rouse's, you're either local or you're not. Buick, the craft of modern luxury. St. Martin and Bork, know your rights.
Hello and welcome back to this edition of Bayou Time. Again, your host, Keith Weissite, licensed clinical social worker with Terrebonne Home Care. Very glad you're joining us. However you may be joining us, we appreciate it. Very glad to be joining us. Ms. Beryl Amedee, thanks for joining us again.
Yes, sir.
All right. Just a little bit about some of the good things, some of the projects, and some of these ribbon cuttings.
Yes, I've got a number of ribbon cuttings on the calendar in the recent months, and some coming up for the rest of the year.
Right.
Very recently in my district, this week we had the new building at Fletcher. That's the workforce and nursing building.
Right.
It is beautiful. I took a tour.
Oh,
Very
nice.
interesting. And I expect a whole lot of great things coming from there. You know, we have a nursing shortage. We have
the words out
healthcare
of my
industry
mouth.
shortages.
Yeah.
And so between that one and the building that will be built at Nichols, there should be a whole lot of opportunity for anyone who wants to pursue nursing now and in the near future.
Yeah.
So,
At both of those programs, both Fletcher and Nichols, are both very dedicated to serving the need, right?
Yes.
It's one of those needs assessment. We realize we've had that nursing shortage as we probably come in full circle from those, a little bit of a gap there and people going. And so it's just so wonderful that we have people. I have people that I know at both of those schools very excited about their future in nursing.
yes, when I speak with students, they're always very positive and happy to be there, and I'm happy to have them there.
Absolutely.
Yep. So we have other projects going on.
Okay.
some of these projects I'd like to list for you haven't necessarily started yet, but these are projects that were included in this year's capital outlay bill.
Right.
And so they have the opportunity to be started as soon as they have bond commission approval and so on. There's, the whole
Right,
process.
going through that process. And so
Yes.
I'm always glad to know, but it's good to know stuff that has been approved.
Right.
Because that's at least the first step. Well,
First hurdle.
Right, got over the first hurdle.
Yes.
The idea is the first concept, then we get over the
Yes.
first hurdle of getting them approved.
Right. So some of these projects are past the first couple of hurdles, so
Right.
they're moving forward.
Good.
They're not necessarily at the point where maybe we have groundbreakings yet, but here's a little variety.
Okay.
I'll go down this list for you.
Sure.
Now, some of these are in my district, and some of these are not necessarily located in it, but affect District 51 directly.
Right.
So we have the Assumption Parish pumps and drainage. Of course, we have Morganza to the Gulf. This is a flood control feasibility. We have a Chaffalaya Basin project, protection and enhancement project, core equipment replacement for the Morgan City Harbor and Terminal District,
Okay.
pumping capacity improvements at the Bayou Lafourche Freshwater District, the new nursing building at Nichols State that we were
Right.
just talking about,
Sure.
precision agriculture training facility at Fletcher, Women's Student Athlete Performance Center at Nichols State, Morgan City resurfacing of Highway 182,
Really big deal.
yes, Morgan City drainage and resurfacing of Highway 70,
Ooh, okay.
another big critical one.
Right, middle of town and going north of town. Right.
Yes, yes. Maritime Petroleum Workforce Training Academy planning and construction. So we have a lot going on.
Wow. And again, that's exciting because it talks about all of the different areas that are really going to see some improvements. Like you said, a lot of the things that you're finding out at some of these town hall meetings, it's about bridges and it's about roads and it's about those things. And we see some of these programs that are now really looking forward and taking shape into these projects that are going to be given some serious thought, attention, and now we know that they're going to come to fruition at some point.
Yes, yes. We're hoping sooner the better.
Right.
I know that sometimes these things take years, but if you don't get over these first few hurdles, you're not getting anywhere. So.
Right.
Yep.
I know one of the things that we talked a little bit about was DOTD. Can we talk a little bit about the proposal that the governor's put through to revamp DOTD?
Yes. Now, every few years, all of the state departments and agencies sunset. That means they
Okay.
expire.
Right.
And so we see legislation come every regular session or every session every year
Okay.
to renew certain departments and agencies. And the renewals are usually for, say, 10 years, 7 years, 10 years. Well, this year, it was DOTD's turn. And we have been so frustrated with the way DOTD functions, or maybe I should say the lack of function with DOTD. Everything from the way that the department's budget is put together to the way that it can take so long to get certain things that seem to be common sense or low-hanging
Right.
fruit done. So we felt that this year, when it came up for renewal, there was an effort to say, let's just not renew it. But if we simply don't renew it, then we have no department. So we had to do something. We didn't want to just renew it,
Right, in its
and
current
say,
state.
keep going as
Right.
you are. And we didn't want to just shut it down.
Right.
So what we did instead was we renewed it for 18 months.
Oh,
And so
okay.
in this 18 months, the entire department, the way it functions and everything, is being reviewed. There's a whole committee in charge of doing that. And they will give a report back to us with their recommendations of ways to make DOTD much more efficient and functional. And so I'm so looking forward to that.
Well, and again, it's one of those things where I love the fact that there's some meeting in the middle, right? And because so very often politically, we're told it's black or white. You can either do it or you can't.
Right.
But here in this case, we found some meeting in the middle. Let's give them 18 months, and now let's revisit if it's working or if it's not. And the areas that aren't working, can we do something about that? And if we can't, then we have to kind of revisit that again and be
Yes.
able to see what to do. So I love that idea, by the way. It's where we go from black and white to become a little bit of gray,
Right.
because we can't always do all the changes. Well, there's some exciting things going on. Lots of ribbon cuttings, lots of really good things going on in our areas at Nichols, over at Fletcher, really giving attention to some areas of need. And these town halls that are really allowing for the people to be heard, for people to come out and say what their needs are, and for you to be able to listen to your constituents. We appreciate it very, very much. Thank you for all the updates.
Yes, sir. Thanks for having me. And I'll be glad to come back and talk about constitutional amendments in a couple of weeks.
Sounds good. Look forward to it.
Okay.
All right. We thank Beryl for joining us. We thank you for joining us. And that'll do it for this particular segment of Bayou Time. But don't go anywhere. A lot more local programming right here on HTV.
Today's social media segment is brought to you by South Louisiana Bank. It's better when we bank together. Waits and Downer, attorneys at law. Terrebonne Ford, built Ford tough.